Stephan,
Yes, sir.
we are back,
We are back.
and it is a good day. This is something
Pretty good day.
I've been asking for, and what a surprise! Mr. Scott Jeffries, director of The Curse of the Humpty Dumpty, reached out and sent us a screener, and we are probably the first people outside of those involved in its creation to see this thing.
I think we may be seeing it before some of the people that were there.
There's a good chance, knowing past movies and things we've covered, that is often the case. But we're here to talk about it. The Curse of the Humpty Dumpty.
Most definitely. And we're getting a real sneak peek on this one. This doesn't come out till November.
November
Damn.
26th. Look at that goddamn poster artwork. What a name.
It had you hooked from the moment you saw
Yeah,
it.
I'm here for it.
You've been talking about this for quite some time now.
I mean, how many other Humpty Dumpty movies are there?
I'm sure there's at least one or two, but none that jump to mind.
No, and this is kicking off a franchise, one can only assume. If I know anything about the doll movies, because there's so many of those, like Annabelle ripoffs
Yes.
with like Little Charlie or whatever the hell. What's that one?
Robert the
Doll. Then there's those like Sabrina movies, which were picked up by Netflix, but I don't know what country they're from, but they're actually pretty
Let's
fun.
not forget Chucky, who was the
Well, of course, Chucky.
OG fun,
That's true.
fun doll movies.
So
And aside from Chucky, I'm not a big doll fan.
no, okay.
I don't like the possessed miniature things that much, but Humpty Dumpty is not that miniature. He's fucking huge.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I actually kind of like the doll. Like, I like the Puppet Master movies and stuff like that. I love when you have stop animated effects.
Yeah.
As opposed to CGI doll effects are not nearly as charming. But the stop animation is what really works for me in doll movies.
Well, this one rides right down the middle, where we don't
Yeah,
have so much of the CG. We don't have a lot of stop motion. This is like, a person in a costume.
Right.
And that, like, that definitely has something. You have a lot more articulation. Things can be a lot more instant and responsive. And I do like that. I think that that's something that can be great when done right.
Yes. So a lot to unpack here with the Humpty Dumpty. Storyline is about two sisters and their mother who seems to be have early signs of dementia, which starts spiraling out of control by the end of this movie.
Yes.
And because of this affliction, they decide to travel back to their old estate that they own and just never use, even though it's like this massive estate.
Yeah.
To try and like re-trigger memories for her. And when they get there, they discover this Humpty Dumpty doll in a nearby shop, which does trigger memories for this mother. And then some killer doll hijinks, mystery unraveling storyline unfolds. Does that sound about right?
That's about right. That's about right. We are so early to the party here. There is not a description on the IMDb page yet. So they're gonna take what Chris just said, and we're gonna just put that right there.
And we've reached this, and this has happened before for me with other movies, but where like, the cast, a lot of the cast and the crew is probably going to see what we have to say about their movie. Which puts us in like a kind of awkward situation. Like I don't want to like be a dick about things, but
it can be awkward. But I will say we never do anything we are never intentional with our directions. We say what we were thinking, and we are completely honest at all times to potentially a fault. But this is like a movie we're about to talk about. Chris is super excited to talk about it, and we're gonna jump right into it. So if you've not obviously seen this movie yet, maybe you want to remain in the dark here, because we're gonna go into some spoilers.
Yeah, there'll be some spoilers. Probably not like, I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't matter. There'll be some spoilers. So if you're really worried about the story elements of Humpty Dumpty, which is not coming out for a while, maybe hold off. But
so maybe give a
warning.
non-spoiler
We'll give a
review here right now with what are your thoughts on the movie, Chris?
I think much like Hatched, the last movie we watched, I think this one's shot pretty well for the most part. It's got a great setting, which I'm not sure if it's the same manner they shot Hatched in. Either way,
I don't think so. I think this is a different manner.
It's still really cool looking, and offers a lot of production value to their movie without, needing effects or anything like that. There's also a few locations, like they pull the doctor's office in, which also adds production value. So like that stuff stuck out to me. It's pretty well done. I thought the acting for the most part was pretty good. A lot of it's riding on the mother character, who is played by actress Nicola Wright, who we've seen in a lot of these other movies. And you know, it's a big ask because it's a very dramatic role. She's suffering from dementia and she has to play that off. But the movie is dramatic and it's long and it's got mystery that I wasn't expecting that they tease out. And I wanted more Humpty Dumpty. I know I say that all the time.
Yes, but that is true. And for this one, I thought we were going to get a large quantity of Humpty Dumpty because
physically
it is
you
a
did.
practical effect.
Yes.
He's in almost every scene, but he's not doing that much. We don't even see the doll, I think, till about a half an hour into the movie. So like I think that
he doesn't like
I would like to get into it a little faster, or maybe a preamble where Humpty Dumpty is doing something with a different family just to set him up. This right here, though, what the fuck is that thing to the left there? Like,
that's the
like
sequel.
That's a killer clown. Like, what is that? They're just so large that these are clearly like masks that you could probably buy online. I don't think that that's a custom made thing. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. But that one to the left certainly looks like something I've seen before.
Yeah, I agree.
So it makes me believe that Humpty is also in that same ballpark here. To address the acting in the movie, I think that the mother nails dementia. So like my grandma had
that's
some
interesting
dementia stuff going on, and the facial expressions and the when questions are asked her and how she kind of like looks around and like is struggling, and you can see she's like she hits that on the head, the like, I don't have an answer and I am frustrated by this. Like I think like either she just happens to doesn't get that very well or knows somebody or you know did a little research here, but I think she really nailed that part. For me, the part that is like the downfall here of this one is I think like the sound. I had a real hard time hearing a lot of things.
Okay.
And I so like it's a combination of like, and usually like I love people with accents, like it's like my favorite, but when it's a little bit hard to hear and there's an accent, it can take it out. And we are getting a very early screen on this movie, so it might not have the final sound pass here. We might not have like everything sitting in the mix where it's ultimately going to sit. So I won't actually say that is a strike, because again, we're getting this so early. You know, it is early July and this doesn't come out until November. Yeah. So I'm not going to say that that's something that's going to be in the end mix here. Right. But that was my biggest like strike like from this screener was I especially during the first half, I had a lot of like, what? Like I had my volume at 70, and usually I watch movies at like 19 to 30.
Oh, wow. I didn't notice that as an issue for me. I was watching with headphones though, and I had the volume pretty loud, so I don't know.
I did not have, I was watching on like the TV proper. So like it was, I was like, like I'm like leaning in to the screen when the music, when the sound doesn't even come out of the screen. I'm just like a boomer. I'm like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, the sound mixes in these generally aren't the best usually, but
I haven't had that problem in previous works. So I do think that it's probably related to it being so early in the the process. That's gonna be my assumption. And if I'm wrong, fuck. But hopefully it is that.
Yeah. So the Humpty Dumpty guy. It's too much to ask, but it doesn't animate it at all. So it feels more like a guy in a rubber suit, a cheap rubber suit. I mean, that's the beauty of like those, like the immortal masks, those like latex masks.
Well, this is not.
And
one
it's
of
not,
those.
but those are $600 for a mask, and they're tight fitting, and you can animate with your face, so they really sell the effect.
A lot of expression
yes,
from those. Exactly.
This is
well, and just having a normal eye exposed would have done a lot here. We have these bug-eyed that like you can't ever tell where it's focusing and doesn't do anything. But then when it switches to its like attack mode, it has different eyes that are better. And I'm like, well, what is that?
Yeah, and it like that effect where it has a different mode. It does look cool sometimes. There's a one like good attack sequence because it's frenetic and it gives you flashes of the creature that I thought it sold the effect mixed with like this scary sound design they had. But like there's just too many times where they show it too much and it looks like a super cheap rubber suit.
Well, I think that's exactly it. The fact that in both modes it is still a static, like it can't do a lot of movement, that it would have sold a lot to give you a quick flash and then use the mouth to attack, and then like that's all you ever see. Because if you only ever saw the and then it was gone, I think it would have been an effective bad guy. But it like straight up stands in that like attack mode for like quite a while in direct light, where you can see like too much.
And we've been critical of these movies being overly dramatic for schlocky premises. Now, I feel like the drama actually, for the most part, kind of works, because this dementia idea, I think, is sold pretty well. But, again, it's not what I came for. And I know Scott Jeffries mentioned before, well, we do these dramatic elements because we don't have the money to pull off more effects and stuff like that, right? But this movie lends itself to low budget, no budget effects, meaning you just need to build some creepy atmosphere and ambiance and have these basically essentially ghost like moments. Do you know what I mean?
Or jump scares, slight moments.
Yes.
It's over here now. Like, and we get very tiny bits of that. I think like in certain moments it is used effectively. I think, but they're again trying to put a lot into this film, so like yes, there's the dramatic elements, but then to also have this being like a cyclical thing where like with the flashbacks and that, and like tying into what this that, like it just seemed like maybe that was a little bit much.
It's essentially three storylines converging, so it's very ambitious in that way, because you have like what's happening right now, but then flashes from the past, but then also a legend of the Humpty Dumpty somehow also intermixing through all this stuff.
Yeah.
Which
I liked certain elements there, and I think there's a theme through a lot of his movies where I'm like I really like that part, and I would like them to expand more upon it. Like there was a great part where the mother is looking and the mirror is talking to her.
Oh yes.
And I was like, oh man, that would be such an interesting angle for dementia. Is if she's and at parts she opens her book and doesn't remember writing things, and there's writing in there, and whether she wrote it or not, who's to say? But these are things that could have been great, like her talking to herself in reflections and giving herself advice, good or bad. Like all this writing, like Memento style of like, who is this? What did I do? Like I think like there's something like real there that could have been very cool. And that exact moment when that happened, I was like, oh, this is something exciting and new. She's talking to the mirror. Oh, the mirror. Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. And I think that like, if we could have put a little bit more stuff like that in there, I would have been really very invested.
Yeah, that's creative. Doesn't require any money or any, it's just
a tripod.
Just a tripod. But it works because it gets you immediately to understand, oh, this is from her mind, what we're seeing. You know what I mean? So you can dive deeper into those ideas. Do you ever see Relic from last year?
Relic? That sounds very familiar.
It's a great horror movie, but it also explores dementia. It kind of feels, in some ways, they pulled elements from that movie into this with that angle. But it's hard not to, because you're just pulling that angle. But it's also like the same setup we've seen in the last few of these movies. Hey, family, let's go visit our long-lost estate that is in perfect condition we haven't visited in
And maybe
10
this
years.
is a thing that the Europeans have. Like, do you have a family estate or some other house you could go visit on the weekends? No. Like, most of people I know barely have an apartment, so, like, this is a foreign concept to me, but it is a foreign movie, so I'm like, okay. Like people had ancestral homes or whatever. I don't know how they were keeping this place. Like, I always wonder, what do people do for a living? Like, this is a huge, 8-bedroom mansion where you like a hop, skip, and a jump to a room that is just a pool. Like, this is a resort, or something, because at one point there's a sign in the back that says fire exit or bathroom or something, and I was like, okay, so this is like a lodge or something that they have rented, or maybe some sort of a way, oh, we go on a retreat for the weekend, and a bunch of people there, in the different buildings and stuff, and they all have that communal pool area. Something like that is the vibe I get. But it definitely has a look to it. I like this place has a mixture vibe between a couple of the movies we've watched, where it's not quite the house from Hatched, and it's not quite that old what the hell is this house from the Bats. It's this nice middle where this is probably the MVP of house I'd want to move into.
It looks nice. Yeah, it looks nice. So this movie wavers as well, where there's good lighting sometimes. For instance, I think this looks nice. But then during scenes where I want it to be creepy. It just looks kind of lazy. Like we put up one light here.
Yeah,
it's just
the
not
blue light method of darkness.
And when I was watching this on my other monitor, and I know like different devices, your brightness, all that shit, but it was just like, it wasn't dynamic. It was just, there was no creepiness to it. I could see too much detail and everything. I don't know. I'm probably nitpicking at that point, but
if I was gonna nitpick things, it wouldn't necessarily be lighting or anything that was like film choice wise. It would be more Humpty Dumpty based. Like this is a gift that her husband gave her, and it has to. I asked the question: does her husband even like her? This is the ugliest fucking doll I've ever seen in my life. It would have been one thing if it was this like, because there are some of those dolls of the day where it's like, oh, that's really creepy to me as someone who doesn't like dolls, but to other people it's like, no, that's my doll. That's precious. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, porcelain is your thing, whatever. But this doll is like you'd get at the Halloween store, like where they have like the dead baby doll. Like that's what it looks like. So like it would be nicer if it had two settings where like it goes from like grotesque to like I don't know, alien vampire. Like, so it would be cooler if it went from like, you know, like doll that could pass as normal to maybe this, or like you know, like black blood comes out of the eyes and the mouth turns, like something a little bit more in the realm of like a woman would actually go, oh, it's precious. It's fucking gigantic. This is like the biggest thing she's carrying around. It reminds me of like the Halloween specials of like Family Matters, where there's like the dummy of Urkel that like there's like you know, a little person inside of, but this is like a full-size 12-year-old child in there. Like it's not like a little person. No, it is big. When it stands up, it's like 4.5 feet tall.
I mean, I agree with you that it's too creepy. No one would ever want this, but that's how the Annabelle movies are too. So it's
but like, those are at least where they have a charm where like, oh, this is an antique, and somebody would be like, oh, this does not have that vibe. And maybe suspension of disbelief, movie life, that's what it's supposed to be, but it does not come across that way. Like it very much look like if you saw that in a house, I'm like, that's a person ready to jump out and scare me. Like that looks like the person that would be holding the bucket of Halloween candy on Halloween and then like spring out if you grab more than one. Like that's what that looks like. So I already would have pause, and then like with total justification that the daughters are like, no, we're not buying that for $700. They are goddamn mine. It's the most hideous thing I've ever saw in my life. And I'm like, well, thank God they can see it, and I'm not alone here. Like maybe the dementia has rotted her brain, but then again, her husband bought her this as a gift when she didn't have dementia. So I don't know.
Yes, but I was getting confused because there's like two convoluted storylines that come together, and I still am a bit confused of how they even match up together. And maybe if I go back and rewatch it, it'll clear it all up for me. But by the end,
let me hear it.
Well, okay, I understand. Okay, well, I don't know. I don't want to spoil everything.
okay. Then we'll skip past it.
But there's just a lot. There's just a lot of like a mystery that I think it wanted me to be invested in that I just quite couldn't get invested in. And so when it went and revealed, there's like a few moments of just expository dialogue that go on for like 3 minutes. You know, the one where it's like, well, the doll is actually a demon, and there's this legend, and you know what I mean? There's that aspect.
This right here threw me. So like they're showing these pictures here, and when she was looking at it, those are like photos on a website. But when she printed them out, I was like, they're not in like a box border. I'm like, did you go in there and delete the backgrounds and put them into the thing?
Them
like,
all in Word,
you Photoshopped this, you magic wanded so you could reveal them, have no backgrounds, save them as a PNG, and then printed them out.
I mean, did that storyline, the mystery unravel? Did that feel satisfactory to you?
It felt like I knew it was coming from the moment it started.
Okay.
There's a lot of telegraphing. Like I don't think anyone would be like, oh, that's a big shock. And it's not like it's a disappointing ending. It's just that it's not something you wouldn't see coming. But I think we are also like of the mind of horror people. So like we know the tropes and can like see things coming a little bit more than like a stranger to the genre might. This part right here, like that gentleman, his everything around what he does in that zone there, not to spoil it, is like ludicrous to me, because like from what he understands and knows and has been a part of, and then this part for him to go like I'm like, what?
yeah exactly. But I don't know, it's better than some of the other ones. It's better than Bats.
Yes, by far.
It's probably better than Hatched. I think it's still moving in the right direction for me.
Dinosaur Hotel is still my favorite one that we've covered, just because that one it has.
That one's way more schlocky.
Some movies have it all. That one has too much, and that's why that one will be the one I say you should definitely check out. This one I think has potential, and I would like to see what the next, because like everything's a franchise nowadays, so presumably there will be more, and I would like to see more, but leaning into the camp nature of this. Leaning more into the fact that this is a practical thing that you could do a lot more, like, death-wise and stuff. I think that this is something that could be, cheaper to do and able to crack these out every year and do something with them.
Agree.
And I think there's legs here, especially with when it's a doll movie. It can be a totally, like, you can have a totally brand new movie each time because it just, it fell into this family's house now, and we found it at the park, and here it is at the whatever, it's at the junk store, this was being thrown out, I'll take this, and you just keep recycling and going over and having new, like doll family movies.
Yeah, and they do add like abilities to this doll. It's not just that it kills people, it can affect your mind and blah 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 blah. So there's
Well, I wondered. So that was part of my thing. Like they do say that stuff, but I'm also like, you're also hearing this from a crazy person. So I'm like, is this, how much of these things are directly related to what the doll's doing? How much
is this real life, or is this just fantasy?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's some real fun stuff you can play with. When you have an unreliable protagonist, because you're like, okay, what is real?
I don't think
what
they
is
were
happening?
going for that though.
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
But I think that is a direction that I think could have been very fun if you leaned more into like the mirror stuff and the like, wait, that didn't actually happen. Oh wait, what is this? Like you could have just as easily ended this movie where like she is in a padded cell and none of it happened, or like anything could have happened and it would have been just as satisfying because you've set up this thing that this person has. And I like that. The weirdest cast person in the movie, I think, was that cop. the cop looked so young to me. Yeah. And it's just, I'm sure that's just who was available. And it was nothing against her acting ability. It was just, she looks very young. And I don't know what the police wear, where this is filmed, but that looked like what a fisherman wears here. like the little like netted vest and stuff.
Well, cops here look like military, like...
For real.
Ground troopers.
More and more cops are looking like future superheroes by me, where I'm like, oh man, that guy's an AK-47. What's happening?
I'm like, Anyways, the thing, okay, so wrapping this up though, the kind of people that want to see a movie called Humpty Dumpty, want to see fun schlock.
Yes.
They're not going to be the kind of audience that wants to get invested in a slow burn psychological horror movie with a Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, I'd say especially with this poster, you're sending a mixed message to an audience.
Yes, which has been a common occurrence here.
It's also a bit of a spoiler, the poster.
Yes, because it shows its transformation. But, I mean, this is a thing, this is the business side where the Curse of the Humpty Dumpty, the name, and that poster makes people want to at least check it out and watch it, who like low-budget schlocky movies.
In fairness, that is the monster almost exactly. Like, down to its scale, everything about it. They're not showing you any bill of goods here. That is exactly what you're going to get when you watch this movie.
Yes, just not in the way you think.
Yes, but that again, that would be your own, like just reading into it. Because right now there's no description, so you can't say that anything is you're being tricked in any way. That poster is exactly what you're going to get, and that is at least very genuine, and I like that, because it could have very easily been a little like the body of like a marionette puppet looking thing, a little like kind of guy, but no, that looks like a dude like a dude in a chair. I like that.
Yeah, and I'm being critical here. Like of that, like you're not really giving this audience that's looking for the kind of movie they want. But I watched Ebola Rex the other day with Ian.
I watched that review.
And I was aggressively angry because there was zero attempt to make a movie, a legitimate movie. It was just turn the camera on, let's film some bullshit, let it ramble on for 20 minutes, and then put it all together and call it a movie. Which is, and then charge $4 for a rental, which is insulting.
And these are not that.
These are not that
at all. These are all honest, earnest attempts at making a movie.
These are all earnest attempts at a movie with a lot of good qualities about them. Like we said, it's shot well, it looks decent, the acting is good, there's some interesting story elements, sometimes some fun effects. It's just, it's not the schlock that is being advertised in its name and synopsis and premise. And so it's constantly like wait, my expectations are completely off base here, and it's kind of alienating to some of the viewers for this kind of stuff.
I think if the box would have been standard Humpty Dumpty form, and it's just the photo of him laying with the other dolls on that, like, the corner of that bed or desk or whatever it was, and it, you know, just said like in a different font. I think the font is also what, like, if it was a more straight-laced font, you would think less schlock. There's something about like how that is all displayed where you're like, oh yes, this is going to be a corny movie, but it's not a corny movie. It's a very serious movie, and I think you could probably market this in a great way where, like, you would show that poster to people, and you would get the people like us who want that like cornball schlocky movie, and then you could cut a really straight-laced, like, a serious trailer, and then you'd get that crowd too. So it's probably just smart marketing, honestly.
That's what I think it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So keep at it. We'll keep watching them. Anything else? Would you recommend the Humpty Dumpty, Stephan?
I don't know that I would recommend. Like, it's not like it's a bad movie. It's a little long for me, and for all I know that it'll get trimmed down a bit, you know, in the next coming months, you know, as it has like half a year before its release, give or take. And like, you know, a lot can change in there. We've seen some crazy stuff happen to you know, to movies, and things happen. There can even be like think about movies that have had reshoots and things. Like, there can be a total dynamic shift in a movie's screener from now till then. I just don't like doll movies, so like I was already not the crowd for this movie. So like, you were like super amped and excited about it. Would you recommend this movie?
Not to the people that want a silly doll movie. It's way slower pace. It's more of a slow burn psychological thing. So if you like those kind of movies, which I really do, those are generally my favorite kind of movies.
So that's funny. I feel like Ian would like this movie a lot. There's something about it just jumped out. I was like, I think Ian would like this.
Yeah, no comment. I won't go into any of that. It's all right. It's just not what I wanted again. But you know, has a lot of positives. I wouldn't probably recommend it to most people though.
No, but I'm still super on the train. I want to see all the Scott Jeffrey movies and see where they go. The one that I am really looking forward to, and the name escapes me. What is it? Crocodile Revenge. That's the one that I'm. That's my Humpty Dumpty. That's what I want to see.
But he didn't direct that one.
I think he just produced that one.
Okay, I want to see Conjuring the Plastic Surgeon. Soon. I don't see this Crocodile Revenge movie, but I'll believe you. Oh yeah, Crocodile Vengeance, but that's
Vengeance,
not
next
Revenge,
year. Vengeance. Yeah, I gotta wait. But who's to say? We would have had to wait a long time for this, so maybe in November we'll get a screener for that one. True.
Yeah. I like these ideas these people are pulling. Like,
or he has a couple other dinosaur ones. What is it? Jurassic Valley or something like that's coming out.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Anyways.
The dinosaur ones, I in general.
Well, of course, we'll always watch
Island, I like that stuff. Leprechaun Rage, probably something else I will enjoy. Those are more in my wheelhouse. This I kind of wanted to be. Did you see Gnome Alone?
With Vern Troyer?
Yeah.
Yes, that's way more schlocky, yeah.
That one, I did not really care for Gnome Alone very much, but the presence of what was put into my mind when I saw the poster for Gnome Alone, I was like, oh my god, that's everything I want in a movie. And that's what I wanted for this. I wanted that, like, schlocky, murderous Humpty Dumpty. And you were talking about it before I ever saw the poster, so in my head, it was a big Eggman, and I was like, and like that to me I was like, yes, that sounds like the best thing ever. I can't wait.
I was waiting for a Humpty Dumpty sitting and then falling on somebody's head, and you know what I mean?
Having a great fall.
Yeah.
Well, he fell once.
Yeah. All right, that's gonna do it for the Curse of Humpty Dumpty. We will catch you here next time, guys.
Until next time.